Okay, welcome back to the 1090 podcast. I'm here with Haley Garrison.
Yes.
Haley, thanks for coming on. What are your thoughts being on the 1090 podcast? We were chatting about it a little bit, but you have mixed feelings today.
Pretty nervous. I do think it'll be a little bit therapeutic talking about it. I've kind of been struggling like with different coping mechanisms, especially as like a school psychologist, like all the things that you can do, but then actually doing them
Yeah,
is really hard.
it's kind of frustrating. Like you, just because you know it doesn't really kind of help you achieve it, though. Like you just
Mm-hmm.
kind of know it, and it's like hard to watch yourself struggle through it.
Yeah, and then I go through like these check boxes almost like, okay, I tried this, I tried this, I tried this. Like, I don't know, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it nervous to be on the podcast, do you think?
Just like I was saying earlier, I'm pretty quiet. So
You're an
talking,
introvert.
yeah, I'm super introverted. I always joke, like at my job, I can't believe I got into it because you have to present your findings to like a group of people and then basically come to a decision if you agree or disagree. And I'm like, I don't even know how I mean, life just led me there, and I love the job, but
Yeah.
just that part of it is so interesting. But I like connecting with people
Yeah.
too, so especially with kids.
Yeah, and it's also hard because, like, it's just when you're honest and you talk about difficult things, you might get some judgment sometimes, and that makes it kind of, I think that adds to the nerves a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely the other part with Ellie is like we had a lot of decision making along the way
Yeah.
that I don't know that other people would have made the same decision or like how they would feel about it. And that's something we go back and forth on a lot still
Yeah.
is like it was just so hard to know what to do in the moment with everything,
Yeah. And that
with the
just,
limited information you had.
yeah. And then hindsight's always like, could have done this or that too, which makes it tough.
Yeah, the time thing is what kills me. Is like you have to make so many important decisions and you don't really have time to research them, to the like I love researching and I love finding data and
Oh, you're one of those people, like, you're like the
yes.
spreadsheet, like, okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. I know talking helps, even though like sometimes it's kind of like the Michael Scott philosophy. Like I just start talking and I'm not really sure where it's going, but I just hope I find my way along the way.
Okay, perfect, because I'm a lot like that. I feel
Oh
like I'll
yeah,
go off and
like
then I'll just peter out and be like, what was I talking about?
yeah, and like as you know, we have absolutely nothing planned, other than ending with top three favorite books today.
Yeah.
Because you're a book girl,
Yes.
not a movie girl. Yeah, thanks for coming on and being vulnerable and being honest, even though you might receive some judgment. It's hard being honest because sometimes honesty is mean. Like, and you don't want to be mean. Like, you don't want to be honest with them. Like, hey, your artwork actually isn't good. Like, no one wants to say that.
Hmm.
And then sometimes honesty like leads to change. Like, okay, if I'm honest about it, then I have to make changes, and no one wants to do that. So there's so many. It's weird, like culturally we've made being honest very difficult and socially awkward, and I just think that's weird. Like, why can't the truth just rule the day and we all just have to accept it? But
I
not
always
the
think
world we
about
live in.
that, like with the kids I work with,
Yeah.
because they'll be like, we'll look at, I don't know, like social language concerns, and I'm like, what is social language? Like, I don't want to make eye contact with someone for 4 hours straight. It's
Yeah.
like I get fidgety when I have to sit still. Like, I don't know. It's the same thing for them. Who says it's so severe? It's like a disability,
Yeah.
you know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, where do you want to start with your terrible story? Do you want to start falling in love with your husband and having the baby? Ellie, right? I
Yeah.
love that name, by the way. Such a pretty name.
I always get my names. So our older son is named Mason.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's 6 years old. He'll be 7 next
That's a
month.
good name.
Yeah.
I like that
It
name.
fits him.
Yeah.
He's like definitely a Mason. I don't know why, but he just is. Um, But I always get my names off of like students I've worked with.
Oh, me too, because I was a high school teacher, and like
Oh,
80% of the names are just ruined. Like you can't use them. She's like,
mm-hmm.
no, I have a Jude in my class, and I just can't. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're like,
Yeah.
that name's not used.
No offense to Judes out there. I just made that up. And yeah.
Yeah. Like Mason, there was one baby I worked with because I used to be in a preschool too, like in my undergrad. And he had big blue eyes and he always smiled and he had big chunky cheeks and he
Mhm.
was just the cutest thing. And then that's exactly what Mason looked like when he
Yeah.
was born. And then Ellie, I remember working with a really sweet, sweet girl. She's probably an adult now. But she just was like lit up the classroom, kind of. I think it was in fourth or fifth grade. But yeah.
Yeah. What made you want to go into that line of work?
I always loved school. Like
You loved
school.
school.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
School was like my safe place. I always got really good grades. Like I had friends there. School was just always easy for me for the most part. And so like home life would be not like I don't want to like diss on my parents at all, but like home life was different, then school was nice and structured and you knew what was coming next. And it always like broke my heart to see kids who didn't like school just because they struggled with learning. Like especially if you could find a way to help them learn, that like we could do that. We can adjust learning or teaching styles and for kids. So
No, yeah. No, I love
yeah,
that story. Because it's like being a high school teacher with 35 kids and they all learn differently. Like they're not, the education system is just so,
it's rough. Yeah.
it's just so outdated. It's
Yeah.
like a horse and carriage. Like, can we, like mix this up a little bit?
I do like to think like special education has gotten a little bit further
Yeah.
with just like we're trying to do more interventions and
Yeah.
database decisions and better curriculums and
No, it's a tough job because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work after the day job and not a lot of money and not a lot of appreciation. So
I
thanks
knew
for
I
doing what
couldn't
you
be a
do.
teacher because I was too
Yeah.
introverted. I was like being
Yeah.
around that many people all day would be too much.
Yeah. So when did you get pregnant with Ellie?
So Mason was he would have been 5 when I got pregnant. And we were starting to get worried about age gap because it was like 5 years, 6 years. And my siblings, my sister's 7 years younger and my brother's 10 years younger. So, and I get along with them really well, but you can definitely tell there's an age gap. And so we were like, well, let's just do it, like now or never. And so we kind of just started trying, and then it happened really quick. And then we were pregnant.
Like you thought it might be a challenge. Like it's gonna take a couple tries.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's been
Like
6 years. Like,
pregnancy
I don't
test
know.
number one. Like
I'm
pregnant.
old now. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, that happens all the time. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my doctor saying, I was like, I was surprised it happened so quickly. And he was like, yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Just like be careful what you wish for, almost type of thing.
Yeah.
You wanted a baby, like you're pregnant.
Yeah. And then we found out she was a girl. And it was funny because I was so disappointed because I wanted all boys.
Really?
Yes. And now all I want is a girl. Like I just became such a girl mom with her instantly.
Can I ask, are you done trying to have kids, or is that still an option for you in the future? Or
I don't know. You have to wait at least a year between pregnancies just for your body to heal. Like,
Yeah.
because I guess your risk of, I think it's uterine rupture or something like that goes up if you have it within that first year. I'm also like terrified of having, I don't know, it was so traumatic that I don't know.
if you want to do that again?
Yeah, like the thought of going into a hospital and like doing all that again. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, where should we start with Ellie then? Because
I was kinda-
she made it the full pregnancy, right?
Yeah, so and that's kind of what I wanted, I guess, to talk about was something happened that like I just never even knew could happen. And I'm well educated, I would say, and I'm pretty with it. And like, it was so shocking and out of nowhere. Like, I remember Chris saying that when we left the hospital, it was almost like leaving the hospital with your baby and then getting like in a terrible car accident. And then have like, because it's just so unexpected. And so she was super healthy. I always have healthy pregnancies. And so Mason was a big baby. He was 9.6 pounds.
Oh, wow. That is a big baby.
And we were close to, I remember being close to a C-section, but then the doctor came in and did something. Oops, sorry. And did something, and he was out. But it was a 30-hour labor, and it was tough. And then with Ellie, so she started measuring big at like, I want to say like 37 weeks. So we did an extra ultrasound. And she was in the 97th percentile for growth. And from there, the doctor said, you know, we should try to induce because she's so big and we don't want to have a risk of shoulder dystocia. And I was like, okay. And I had really wanted to avoid induction because with Mason, I feel like the induction made it so terrible. Like, because he had been 41 weeks, so that's why they wanted to induce. But I didn't, like, they just offer induction and Pitocin, like, so easily. And I think there's a lot of risks with it that we
But
don't
that's like
talk about.
that's like the norm though. Like when they present it, it's like this is how it's done every time. Just
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
like everybody gets induced, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And like the more I learn about it now, it's like there's a whole backstory, you know, like Pitocin it slows down your contractions. So, or I mean, it increases your contractions. So they're giving you more pain meds, which is like slowing down your contractions, which is increasing the heart rate of the baby. Like it's just a whole cycle that doesn't really need to happen, I think, if you can just let it happen naturally.
Well,
And I didn't know that. Like I don't know, I just trust the medical community like 100%. And I was like, I barely researched it. It was awful with Mason, our first, because I didn't even I didn't want to be like anxious about it. So I was like, I'm just gonna go in like and let them handle it and not worry about anything. So I didn't like research too much. And I didn't want to over research
because
because
then you're just gonna start to worry and
yeah, yeah. But so with Ellie, so we were trying to, or I was trying to avoid induction. And so we were waiting and waiting. And then the doctor, I remember it was like a Thursday. And she said, let's go ahead. And my due date was like the next Thursday. And she said, let's go ahead and induce. And she like wanted to do it that weekend, but we couldn't. And so she did it on Tuesday. So my due date was Thursday, but we induced on Tuesday, which I'm like, that's not even really early. I don't know.
yeah, 2 days.
Yeah, like, isn't there still a risk of shoulder dystocia,
Right,
like
like
doing it then?
48 hours.
Yeah, like what
Making a huge difference.
exactly. But I just didn't think to ask that, you know. I was like, okay, like whatever you say.
Right.
And so we went in, they started the induction. It was long. Again, I remember we went in at like 7 a.m. And then the night before, they have to insert a balloon to like break your, or to dilate you, I think. So that happens overnight. So then you go back to the hospital in the morning. They start you on the Pitocin. So we were on that all day, or I was on that all day. And then like midnight comes around and they just kept increasing the dose and increasing it because I wasn't dilating. And then finally, I think it was like 2 in the morning or midnight, between like midnight and 2 a.m. because Ellie was born at 2 a.m., I think like 2:40. Like I just wouldn't. Oh, I think I dilated and then I started pushing and she wouldn't come out. Like I remember pushing and pushing And it got to the same point that I had been with Mason, where I was like, I can't do this. Like, I remember with Mason thinking like, I'll just stay pregnant, like I'm opting out of this. Um, and then with Ellie, I was like, no, like I can do it. I did it again. And then I had a wonderful team of nurses there too, just really supportive and sweet and talking me through it. And
What's your feeling going through this? Like, are you nervous? Are you scared? Is there a bad feeling in your gut? Or are you
it's
just,
like I knew things weren't going the way they were supposed to be going, but I get in this mindset in emergencies, I feel like, where I get very practical. And so I just listen to direction and follow direction.
yeah,
And so I just kind of got in that like mechanical mindset, like, okay, I'm listening, and then you're in pain.
you're on drug,
Yeah, and I had an
delivering a
epidural.
baby,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then it got to the point, and I remember it was like 2 a.m., not 2 a.m., I keep saying that, like 12 a.m. And they were like, okay, Haley, we're going to tell you some very like specific directions. You're going to listen very carefully, and you're going to do everything we say. And I said, okay. And so they had me like turn. I remember being like on all fours. They were like jumping on my stomach. Like, I just remember it was just like craziness. And her head came out, and Chris saw her head. And then I couldn't do the rest. And so she was stuck. And that's when it kind of, you could feel like the level in the room got more intense. Um, and so they took, so then they're like, so then they called for a C-section, right? So then they move us down I think it was just down the hallway to the operating room. And she was just halfway out that whole time, like her head was out. Um, and they left Chris in the room, and poor Chris, I remember him saying like, it was like everybody was gone, and it was just monitors beeping and like blood on the ground. And he was like, because he couldn't come to the
Really?
operating room. And so I go in, and I just remember screaming like, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. Um, or I kept saying it hurts, like it hurt worse than I thought it would, but I don't really remember the pain. Um, and then they put me under, and I was like, I can't breathe. Like, you're making it so I can't breathe. And then I remember this nurse just like locked eyes with me, and she's like, just breathe, just breathe. And I was like, okay. And then I was out. And so what they tell me is that or in what I read too, or what happened, is so she was out, and they pulled her back in, and then did an emergency C-section, and then pulled her out that way. And she was unresponsive. So they did CPR. She went without oxygen, they think, for like 17 minutes, 17 to 20 minutes, something like that. Um, Revived her. And then they immediately went into, they have an option for infants when this happens for a cooling treatment. And it's this big cooling pad that they can put them on, and they have to meet these certain parameters, like has to be within 6 hours. The hospital has to offer it. Like, it's super new, I think. And what it does is it cools down. It's really fascinating, actually, because I do like cognitive testing, so it's interesting to learn about. But it slows down the brain damage. So, like, you have initial brain trauma, and then you have like after effects of it, almost like a tsunami or something, like the
Like an
after waves.
aftershock. Yeah.
And those are what do more damage and more damage. And so they put them on this cooling treatment, and it slows that down. And then infants have this thing called neuroplasticity, where your brain function can improve. They can make these like crazy, they can overcome these difficulties that the brain undergoes, I guess. And so poor Chris, he had to make that determination, like while I was out cold,
Oh man.
to put her on the cooling treatment. And he said the doctor like basically made it sound like it wasn't worth it, you know, or he she had been so long without oxygen.
What a tough spot. Like, has it? He just witnessed this dramatic event. So he's worried about that. He has no clue. Like I would have no clue.
Oh yeah.
Like no one preps you for this. And then his wife, who like if it was me, like I'd like to ask Courtney, like, what do you think? Nope, that's not an option. Yeah, that's a tough option to be in.
And it was crazy because we had been talking about before, and I don't know why we were talking about this, but I was like, if anything happens, like save the baby. And I don't know why I told him that. But
You said that before. Was it like a joking way? Not that it matters. Like it was still said, but like what?
kinda,
But yeah,
yeah.
it was said though. Like, hey, if anything happens, take.
Yeah. Like
take
I think
the
I had read maybe about a story or something, and I
Yeah.
just like save the baby. So he chose the cooling treatment. So she was transported. We were at a hospital in Meridian, and she went down to the downtown Boise hospital through ambulance. And then I don't remember waking up, but they said I woke up and was like, "Where's my baby? Where's my baby?" Which like makes me feel good because even though I was out of it, I was like looking for her.
Your true unconscious self was like all in on the baby.
Yeah, the first thing I remember is waking up like in this little operating room, and Chris was next to me. Oh, and he was so good. He wouldn't let them send the baby first without me seeing her. And I don't know why he did that, but I do appreciate it. So like they brought her in and like the little incubator things. And so we have pictures of us just I'm, out of it, and she's on a breathing tube, but she's kind of awake. But yeah, so they took her to the downtown hospital after that, and then I went in a separate ambulance, and then I think Chris had to drive for some reason and follow us. But so we went to the other hospital. They put us on a floor that was on the same floor as the NICU, so we could which was really nice. So we could just go down. So I was in the hospital for 5 days, just recovering. And then Ellie was on the cooling treatment. Gosh, I have to think about this. I haven't talked about it in this much detail. She was alert at first, and then they put her on heavy anti-seizure meds because she started having seizures, and then she was just gone. And that's when I thought she was gone for sure. I didn't think.
Did you watch her have a seizure?
No. I never saw her have a seizure, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you what that would have been like.
And then after that, she'd have, I forget what they're called, but they'd be mini seizures in her head.
Real quick, I'm just gonna drop your mic a little bit.
Yeah.
I can see you.
Good, I'll take a drink.
You're doing great.
Okay, good. Thank you. I feel like I'm just word vomit.
No, it's you can it's so therapeutic. You can see your body talking about it, and you haven't talked about it in a while, and it's hard. So yeah, you're doing great.
And I almost don't want to talk about it with people, so I could be like, you can just go listen to this.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you about
I
it.
talked about it once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just it's there. Yeah.
But yeah, she was on the cooling treatment for a couple days, and then they took her off, and she was on a breathing tube. I'm trying to think. Can I grab my phone?
Yeah.
Quick?
You can do whatever you want.
I know it's a podcast.
No,
you're good.
This is our first family photo.
Oh yeah. Oh man, look at all those tubes.
So that was the first time I held her.
And look at Mason and your husband over there. What's your husband's name again? Is it
Chris?
Chris, yeah. Look at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we post pics of your story, you'll have to send us that one for sure.
Sometimes I'm nervous about that one because I look so vulnerable.
No, that's what's beautiful about it.
And I've learned it's interesting. Everybody does this. They start to talk, and then they get into that. I'm gonna come up with a word. I call it the trauma gaze.
Oh.
You're
I bet.
trying to remember, and then you slowly turn your head, and then it's
It's finding all those details.
Yeah, I do.
You're
that.
oh yeah,
I do it all
forgot
the
I
time.
remembered that.
Pull the mic over a little, but yeah.
And then try not to cry. I didn't want to like cry with the whole thing. I'm usually pretty good at not like keeping it together with
You can
stuff.
cry. We love to cry.
It's not bad. I just sometimes I get going and then I can't stop. You know?
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I have like a theory about crying. Like maybe it's just my fear to like my biggest fear is I'm gonna live to be 100. Like I'm just not gonna die. Like I just want to die, but nope. I'm just gonna keep living. And I think it's because I cry a lot.
Yeah.
And I have a theory like the tears just like pull all the toxins from your body. Like it's so beautiful. I always feel so good after a good cry.
I was thinking that the other day.
And like I don't
Yeah.
get sick a lot. Like not to get weird or like take this down a rabbit hole, but I'm like, there's got to be something to crying. Like I think it's so healing for like the physical body. Like the body keeps the score of this physical pain, and like storing trauma in my hips and in my hands. Crying like really helps with that.
Yeah, I've been really into like nervous system regulation.
Yeah.
Just trying to calm, like tell my body it's okay. Like I'm not in danger.
Yeah, I have zero data to back any of this up, so it's just from crying a lot. Anyway, feel free to cry. So
Everything's just so well educated.
Ellie's not doing good. She's on tubes and she's having seizures. Well, first of all, like not what you want, not like you expected to have a baby and walk out with 2 kids, Mason and Ellie, and now all of a sudden you're here. So like what's going through your mind now in this current situation watching Ellie fight for her life?
I remember because I always look at like other people for clues with stuff, especially doctors. And I could tell we were such high priority in the NICU. And I said, this is pretty dire. Like this isn't good, you know? And I just kind of went into shock, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because my whole family, a lot of my family is from Oregon and Washington, and they all flew in or drove in to see me. So like the second day, my dad showed up at the hospital, and I didn't even know he was coming. And he's like super quiet, like he's more introverted than I am. And he just like showed up in the room, and I think that's kind of what got me through those first couple days. Is like I just was gone, and like Chris would be in the room with me, and we'd like send her energy, kind of like healing energy,
Yeah.
like try to, especially because she wasn't waking up, and we were trying to get her. We were like, wake up, you know?
It's a powerless feeling, and so you're trying to think of anything to do. Like, what can we do? Like, let's pray, or let's send energy, or we got to do something.
Exactly. And like we're not religious too, and so that was something that we were kind of struggling with. Like I was like, where, like, did she die? Like I don't, like, is she, you know, when did she die? Is she still here? And then leaving the hospital after the 5 days, that's when I feel like a little part of me like died, like there, because leaving without her, like that's kind of when it became real. And then it was just this crazy roller coaster. Because we left the hospital, and I'm just like, it was interesting because I hold my emotions together pretty well. And like leaving the hospital, like I couldn't even walk, really. Like I was just crying. And we went and picked up Mason. He was at my in-laws' house.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have to
Which,
explain.
like, in hindsight, I'm like, we probably should have gone home first and like regrouped and then went and got him.
Got a
But
good cry out.
yeah, but I needed to see him too. He was having a really hard time
Yeah.
with everything, you know. And he met her like that, and he was like, "What's like?" He didn't know, like he'd never had a little sister or a sibling, so he didn't know what the heck that was. But so we leave, and then, we had been waiting for the results of an MRI to see what brain activity there was, because she was so unresponsive and didn't have any reflexes. And so they did an MRI like Saturday, and I was discharged Sunday. And so we drove home, and they're like, oh, we'll probably, go over it Monday with you. And so we drive home Sunday, and we get a call from he's called a neonatologist, I think. And he says, you guys got to come back to the hospital. There's a brain activity, the MRI is showing something we weren't expecting. And so then I'm just like,
That sounds like good news.
yes,
some hope.
It was
Which
super
is
hopeful.
a dangerous. Hope's the worst thing, or it's
was
the best
such a
thing.
zigzag.
It's gonna be one of those two things. It's gonna lead to the worst or best thing.
Yes, and I always I'm an anxious person, and I think about things, and so I was like trying to prepare myself. I'm like, okay, like she's not gonna make it, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I think she might make it. Like, here I am. I'm gonna be a mom with a kid with probably disabilities. I know what happens when brains go without oxygen. And so we get back there and we meet with a neurologist too. And they're like, she didn't have any brain damage at all. Like it was all, there was some things that it wasn't 100% okay, but it wasn't like structural damage. Like they thought, I think they thought the brain stem was damaged because she wasn't breathing or swallowing or doing the toe thing, or I don't know. But yeah, and so they're like, well, let's just wait and decrease the seizure meds and see if she wakes up. And so I think it was like 2 weeks later and she woke up.
So she woke up 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So she was in a coma for 2 or 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks. Woke up, and then she was so she was awake, but not moving at all. And so that was kind of the next step we were looking for, is I would always look for movement. And luckily we only lived 30 minutes away from the hospital, so we could
check on her.
Yeah. So we kind of would just split. And we had Mason at home.
Take some shifts at the hospital at home.
It was 41 days total in the NICU. But yeah, and then she started to show movement, just slowly kind of came back to life, but still wasn't showing those primal reflexes, which is the swallowing, gagging. That was the big one. If you can't gag, then you'll aspirate on your own spit.
Yeah.
So she didn't have those.
What's the communication and the feeling like going through these 41 days? Is it hopeful and looking good, or is it up and down, or is it just this isn't looking good, it's a waiting game?
Nobody could give us answers. That's what killed me the most, is nobody. And my mom too. My mom's she's gonna listen to this and laugh, but she's a hardcore researcher like I am. And she'd push and be like, well, what about this, and this, and this, and this. And it was hard at the time, because then you kind of didn't trust the medical community after what happened. You knew something probably didn't go right with the birthing process. I don't know why. I don't know. I just feel like a C-section should have been talked about a lot sooner. And then you're having to kind of put all your trust in these medical professionals with your daughter. And I did trust them. But then I was kind of scared. I'm like, please don't mess up,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of just you kind of just got through every day. It'd be okay, I made it through this next event. Okay, take Mason to school. And then I worked at the school he went to. So that changed up his whole routine. He used to just come in my office and stuff before and after school. So he kind of started having trouble getting to school. So I'd kind of switch between Mason mode and Ellie mode. And I remember Chris and I talked about I said I would take Ellie, and you take Mason, for emotional focus, I guess. I don't know. And go and I don't know, just make it through till we find out what happens, because nobody could tell us if she would get better. Nobody could tell us if she would get worse. She was on a breathing tube. She was on a feeding tube. They tried to take the breathing tube out once and she couldn't breathe. So they had to start or not CPR, but they had to start everything. I wasn't in the room for that one. And then they put the breathing tube back in. And then the whole time I'm breast pumping because she's drinking like my milk, like through the NG tube. I don't know. So it was just like a weird world. Like you're like pumping every 3 hours and then you're like listening to the doctors, and the doctors had like their morning rounds like at 9 a.m. So I'd always try to be there by 9 a.m. so I could like sit in and pretend to know like what they were talking about. I don't know. And then so it got to the point where she stabilized enough where they started kind of pushing us to be like, we needed to make a decision on what we wanted to do. And so basically the decisions were she could go onto hospice because she was on life support right now with the breathing tube and the feeding tube, and she had to be like rotated every certain amount of time. And so we could do hospice, we could do like just continued care where we just continue the suctioning. Eventually she got off the breathing tube. Sorry, I'm like skipping all over the
No,
place.
this is great.
So we tried the breathing tube once, it didn't work. They said give it a couple weeks. And so we waited a couple weeks and then they tried it again and it worked. And she could breathe. But it was such a terrible thing to hear. Like you could hear, it sounded like I don't know, like rocks in her lungs. Like it just was like when you can't clear your throat. Like she couldn't clear her throat.
Like she was fighting
Yes.
for every breath.
Yes.
And that's obviously devastating for a
And
parent.
so, yeah. And so they had to do suctioning. So they trained us like how to suction out her nose and her mouth. We had to do oxygen because then she started to desat. So anytime she got below like below 90%, the nurses were like, oh, that's not good. And then she'd drop like below 80%. And then they were like, okay, we don't want any more oxygen deprivation to her brain. So we'd give her oxygen. So we were trained on like how to feed her, how to give her oxygen. And so then at that point, they just gave us the option to like bring her home. And we just really didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, did that feel like a good decision? Like, or did any decision just feel like a mistake and awful and not right?
Every decision was so hard. And we'd have these care conferences, like with the whole
But
team.
do you think, like, if you made different decisions, different outcome? Like, I'm talking about you and your husband specifically. Like, do you think there'd be a different outcome? I'm not sure. I don't know if there would have been.
That's what I talked to my friend, one of my close friends lost her baby. And so I have someone that I that I can talk to about it who really get it. And that's what she says. She's like, I think either way, like you probably would have regretted your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. Because the guilt can go either direction. It can go with any decision. So it doesn't really matter.
And then poor Mason would be like, she's a fighter, like she's gonna make it. She's coming home. I'm like,
I'm so sorry. That's. Yeah, like, what do you even say to that?
I tried to just make it just so he felt safe being open and talking about stuff, And I tried to be like as honest with him as I could in like an age appropriate way.
No, I think that's so critical. Like, if you were to snap at him, like, don't say that, like, in such a raw, vulnerable moment, very damaging. I think, like, next time he's vulnerable, he ain't telling you anything.
That's what I struggle with now. And I really have to watch, like, because now he feels so safe and I love that he feels that way. But then it triggers me sometimes, which I know is my, my issue, not his issue. But like he'll say stuff and it'll be like in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I got to make it through the day now.
Like pace yourself, man. It's only 10 a.m. Like we got a long day ahead of us.
On one of your podcasts I was listening to, I forget who it was, but she said that she goes through like all the stages of grief, like over a cup of coffee. And I was like, I totally get that. Because it's just like, I'll be like driving to work, and because we go to the same school and work together, and he'll be like, just talking about her. And I'm like, yeah, like that's what I'm thinking too. Like she's here, we feel her, yeah.
When you see like someone get pregnant or like a family's taking pictures about to have a baby, or you see just a healthy newborn, or maybe it's a movie, you just see someone gives birth in a movie and it's fine, or maybe it goes bad but then it's fine, like always. What's that like?
It's weird because I love babies. Like even before I had kids, I was a preschool teacher and I was in the infant room and then like the ones and twos. And I've always just loved babies, and little ones. And then I would just like get sad, like at work. I remember at school they have this awesome tradition, like where the seniors come through when they graduate, and all the kids are like,
Yeah.
hey, and I just like fixated on this little girl because she had big blue eyes and brown hair, and I was like, well,
That's it.
and movies will get me sometimes. Like we watched something on Netflix the other day, but like there was a dead person in it, but his face looked like a dead person. And it was how Ellie looked after she passed, because she passed in my arms. And just like more like pale and stuff than you would expect. Like I had never really seen a dead person before. So yeah, it's weird. I was thinking about it, like how I would describe it. Like it's like someone coming up and like punching you in the face and like behind you, like you don't expect it,
Yeah, it's out of nowhere.
Yeah, like you'll be like,
And
oh,
it
I'm
feels
good
like-
today, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, you're not even in control of your own thoughts and emotions because of what you said. It's just this punch in the face from behind, and it's like now you have to deal with these emotions that weren't here. Like it's really hard. It's really hard to deal with that stuff, and then feeling of anger and maybe I'm not good enough. Like why wasn't I good enough to deliver a healthy baby? I don't know if you have those thoughts, but those are normal thoughts. And all because someone's happy having a baby. Like it's not their fault. Like they're not doing anything wrong. And statistically they'll probably be fine, but sometimes it doesn't go fine.
Yeah, and then in the field that I work in, like that was triggering a lot of it, because
that's all you're seeing.
it'd be, deficits and like just we started to learn things about Ellie, like that she probably wouldn't walk, she probably wouldn't talk, she wouldn't eat. We went to the audiologist, and like she wouldn't hear enough to even develop language. And she was so pretty, like she looked really like good, like she's a big baby. Like I had a hard time like looking at myself a little bit later because she looked a lot like me. And it was hard to like, it's like, oh, that's what she would look like,
I had that with Blue a lot with the Riggins. Like
I was wondering if you did, if like
it's very bittersweet.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I enjoy it, and other times it's like, man, like Rig should be here too.
Sorry. And then she was so little, like.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like Mason is so smart. Like he's in like the 99th percentile for reading and math, and he loves to learn. And He's super talkative.
Yeah,
and
like
it's
what would have been for Ellie? Like
Yeah.
like what would she have been like?
And then I'd get on this thought process that like, okay, well, maybe if she's super smart like Mason is, like the brain damage just brought her down to like normal.
She'll be normal, which
Or
is
like,
fine. We'll take
which
it.
is fine. Like I love normal. Or like, or even like a little, like I remember the neurologist said, like with this outcome, sometimes he'd see like mild ADHD or like severe cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But in reality,
that's
like,
quite the range, you know?
but she's just gonna get 41 days is the reality. Like, yeah. But all this hopeful talk sometimes.
Yeah. And then we brought her home and she got like a cold. And that's when, because we were like, well, let's bring her home, you know, and let's just see how it is. Like, we're trained on all this stuff. Like, I used to be a CNA in high school, you know.
And like, the quality of life's not great in here.
Yeah,
She
the
might
NICU
die
sucks.
anyways. Like, let's get her home. Let's have a
she's
day
stuck
at
looking at a
home.
wall. Yeah,
like,
let's go
make a
bring her
memory
outside.
with our family at our house.
Yeah, let's show her the snow. You know, it was
Yeah, like,
January and we love skiing and snowboarding and
Yeah.
yeah, we brought her home and it was really hard. Neither of us we still weren't working, and that was another conversation was like, they basically said one of you is going to have to like quit your job. And I've only been a school psych for 3 years or 4 years now. And Chris just started doing electrician, that whole process. So we're just like new in our careers. And it was like, neither of us want to be a full-time stay-at-home nurse, you know, and I can't even be a stay-at-home mom barely.
Yeah.
Like when I do summer break and stuff, I go crazy. But I was willing to try, you know, I'm like, I can try, like, but we brought her home and it was just really tough. And then we kind of started just because she used to have to be hooked up to an oxygen monitor the whole time. And so we just started like taking that off, like, because it would beep when she got really low. And I was like, I'll watch her, you know, I can see if she's struggling for air.
Yeah.
And so we kind of like played with taking that off. And then I remember, and so she was in this program. Idaho has this program that they can do. It's called concurrent care, which is hospice and like continued care. So we had a visit from a hospice nurse and a home health nurse every week. They would just come together. And they were, angels. Of
You
course.
like them, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
the
what
hospice nurse.
That's what Courtney did. She was a home and hospice nurse.
Yes, yeah. That's right. I was reading that.
Mostly for old people, but yeah, sometimes it's...
Yeah, she said it. The one we had, her name's Rhea. She was just phenomenal. But so they came out like, it was really funny actually. They'd come out like together as a pair every week, and one was like really like okay, we have OT, we have PT, we have speech language, and then Rhea would be like, well, you know, how's her breathing? You
They
know,
were a good combo.
Yeah.
The yin and the yang. They did good together.
Like, do you think she's comfortable? I'm like, I don't know. But so they came out, and we just did that for a couple weeks. And then she got sick. And part of the process was she had an NG tube. So it went into her stomach, through her nose to her stomach to feed her. And she kept bringing up breast milk. So you'd see the white liquid and like through her mouth. So then we'd have to suction it through, like, we had this like a generator in our living room that you'd switch on and then suction her out. It was so funny. We'd have it, like, morbidly funny, I guess.
The dark humor. Like a dentist almost, like.
Yes. She'd be so cute. I had all these like pink things and she'd be like in this big bow. And then you'd have like this World War II style like oxygen canister like next to the crib.
Seriously.
And I'm like, ooh.
It's like this cute princess and then also like an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But she got sick and then the liquid was coming up and she wasn't like gaining weight like she should. So then we had to fortify the breast milk like with formula. And it was just like, it was like we'd do something to fix something, and then we'd have to fix a symptom of that. Sorry. And then we'd have to fix like that and then that. And it
Just
just
like
was like
a web of like, if we pull here, then now this is the issue.
and it was like daily appointments. And it was just so much. I don't know. But then she got sick, and so they were like, well, she needs an NJ tube. And so so the NG tube, like, we could put that in ourselves. We were trained to, well, Chris did it most of the time. I could not do it. But you could put the tube, so she'd pull it out sometimes, the tube. Ellie would just be like moving around and pull it out. And so we were trained to put the tube back in. And we could do it to her stomach. But for the NJ tube, it goes into their jejunum, I think is what it's called. Like the first part of your intestines.
Wow.
And obviously, like, we can't do that because we're not doctors.
Just
And so so we brought her in, but they were like, well, let's try that because it'll make the liquid stay down. So we brought her in to do that. And that was awful, that experience. Like watching, they just had to like hold her down.
this whole thing's awful. Like,
and I was like, when does it end? Like, does it just get worse and worse and worse? Like, and then we were just struggling because I was like, I don't even know if we would have like revived her that first time, and then put her through all this. Like, 20 minutes without oxygen, like just let her go. And that's what I struggled with. I'm like, it's crazy they don't like talk to you about this when you're pregnant. Like, you don't ever really talk about like the bad stuff. Like, hey, what do you think if your baby comes out like lifeless? Like, what do you want us to do? But then it's Idaho too, so Idaho's strict on baby lives and all that. And I don't know. It just was never even a conversation. And I feel like we just tortured her. And it's hard to think about.
we did an episode, man, it might be a couple years now. But like, their baby had cancer, and they had to like hold the baby down as it's screaming, put on protective gear like gloves, masks to change its diaper because the chemo that was curing the cancer.
Yes, I think I listened to that.
And it's just like,
yeah.
I can't, what am I even listening to? This is the worst. Yeah, Logan and Sierra. And
I love doctors. And you're seeing this doctor like has no idea what he's doing. He's like, oh, I could tell. I don't know if he's ever done it on an infant before. Like, I don't know. And it's just like, she was just so at the mercy of everybody, and it killed me. And I was like,
But the feeling of a parent feeling like they're torturing their own kid, like that's top tier level of just something you never want to feel or experience. I just can't imagine that.
And that is what the conversation became about, was like, are we going to continue kind of round the clock care?
Yeah, and like...
Or let her go?
Haley, like, this better than anyone, but like, part of acceptance feels like you give up, like you're giving up. And that's something that makes it really hard. Like, I don't want to give up on Ellie, but like, what... Is she even, like, what quality of life do we have here?
Yes, like quality of life became a huge conversation.
Yeah.
And I had another perspective of it, too, that other people don't have, is like, before I was a school psychologist, I was a one-on-one behavior interventionist. And so I don't know if you ever had them in the high schools, but like kids with like disabilities or severe behavior, problems or issues could have like a one-on-one support or that type of thing. And I worked in rooms where kids were bedridden and, they came to school, and I loved they came to school, and I helped, give services for these kids, but they are just turned, all the time. And I don't know, I just was really struggling with it. And then just, you kept getting like bad news after bad news after bad news. And so we finally just kind of made the decision to stop the suctioning and to stop giving her oxygen. We kept feeding her because I was like, I'm not going to stop feeding her, you know. And then giving morphine to help because morphine helps with breathing distress. But then it has the adverse risk of like depressing your breathing then.
Yeah.
And then she passed 2 days later once we started that. And that was March 9th.
Oh, what year? 2000?
This year.
2025.
Yeah.
So you're just going through it still. Wait, so this was like 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. So how do you feel about yourself? Like how is your mental health after going through something like that?
I want to know how people like feeling like genuine happiness.
Oh.
Like I feel like I can fake it, you know, or like I'll be in situations where I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be happy right now, you
Like,
know?
let's put on the show. Here it is.
Yeah.
Smile.
Or at work, because I went back to work less than a month later. I had like if I sat at home all day, I felt like I was going crazy. And like Mason was back in school, so I drove to my work every day anyways. So I was like, I should just go back to work. And I just kind of finished out the year with the help that I work on a really supportive psych team, and so they helped like fill in where I needed it. Like I struggled with some things, and then someone else would take over for it. Like I'd be like, hey, I'm having a hard time with this one, and then someone else would step in. But I forget where I was going with that.
You went back to work about a month later, which is crazy, and then people would step in and help.
Oh, and getting like, so I knew at work, like they sent out emails, right, like to the staff and teachers, like about what had happened, because people knew who I worked at 2 elementary schools, and people like obviously knew I was pregnant all year because this happened. We basically went on Christmas break in December, and then I just didn't come back from Christmas break.
But people are asking, like, how's the baby? Where's
Yeah.
the baby?
So luckily, like, all the staff and, like, teachers and everybody knew. And then it was such a supportive working environment, too, that it was good. But, like, I had one parent ask, like, oh, how's the baby, you know, or just, like, I'd get that in passing a lot, and I would just be like, oh, I'll talk to you about it later, you know, because it's, like, it's 9 a.m. in the school day, you know, I'm not gonna, like, break your heart right now. I don't know, yeah, just, like, struggling to be happy, and then, like, coping with, like, other people's sadness, or, like, like, sometimes this sounds weird, but sometimes, like, I forget how sad it is.
Yeah.
Or I'm like...
Because it's your life every day running through your head, and so I have that all the time, too, and then usually when I tell something, I see it on their face.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder, like, oh, yeah, this is fucked up, or this is really not good.
I'm like, should I be crying right now?
Yeah, and I am sad. Like, do you want me to cry? Like, I can cry. Like, I am sad. Like, don't get it twisted, but, like, I'm putting on the happy face right now. And then the feeling of joy just feels so awful. It feels like your betrayal. Feels like when you have a kid die, you don't want to be happy. You just don't want that.
And I struggle with, and I wonder how it is with you because you lost obviously your wife. But I'm like, okay, we have one kid here and we have one kid there and we have 2 parents here. Like, shouldn't one be there, you know?
Yeah. And like such good people, like you're a great person. Like the confusion of that messed with me. Like we were good though. Like I struggle with that too. Like Courtney was the best. My kids were innocent little kids. Like
I do. I know. I think about that. I'm
I
like,
thought
okay, I
that
know I've
mattered.
messed
Like
up in the past, and I know I've done
yeah,
like
like I thought that
things I
mattered.
regret.
Karma or God or luck or I
Yeah.
thought there was something to that. And like no, like and that's like honestly the rawest form of being good is there's no reward. There's no heaven. You just it's an option for you. You can choose to be good, but you're not gonna get anything back.
And I've struggled with that a little bit because, yeah, I have always tried to like be kind or like make, like better decisions about things for the most part. I feel like right now I'm like kind of being reckless and not like in the best headspace, but yeah, like what is the point? And I remember someone saying that in one of your podcasts too, is like what like should I still be good? Or what's the reward in being good? Or what was the point of it? Or like there is no point in it.
Other than the person you're helping gets help.
Yeah.
Now, like for me, like I need help. Like I ask for help a lot. Like I'm a baby, I need help. And okay, so the deal for me that I make in my head to feel guilt free about it is I just gotta help back. Like I'll help whoever I can, and it's a two-way street, and that kind of helps me deal with it. But yeah, like
That's why I went back to work so early. I knew it
yeah,
would
you need something.
and I just love kids and just being around kids is healing. And so I knew I'd be triggered, but it was okay. It was like I kind of weighed like the risks and rewards of it.
Is most of your thoughts and your grief just caught up in the 41 days with Ellie and the suffering and the day she died and having to make the decision to pull her off life support, or is your grief more of the future you had and just the pain of not having your daughter, or is it just a combination of all of that? I mean, it's 3 months. That's crazy.
It's like both. Like I feel really lost right now. Like I don't really
Your head's
know.
just spinning. You're just spinning.
Like I always thought we'd have like 3 kids and just be just that typical
The
like
white
2
picket
parents, 3
fence, and
kids.
then
Yeah.
we'll have grandkids with all of them. And then when I die, I'll be in the comfy hospital room with my whole family around me, and I'll just drift off peacefully. And then I'll see God and my family in the heaven and vote for Pedro. All your wildest dreams and wishes will come true type of mentality.
And now it's like I don't even know if I want more kids.
Yeah.
Like and then we were like big on, oh, we don't want Mason to be a single child or an only child. And now I'm just like, I don't even care. I don't know.
How else do you think it's changed you, like watching your daughter suffer like that? How else do you think, like, what's different about you today than a year ago, 5 months ago?
Sometimes I do think like I survived the hardest thing that could happen.
Mm,
But then I'm like, I feel like I haven't really survived it yet. Like, I'm not sure yet. I don't know.
yeah. Sorry, I'm smiling because this is just me. Like, this is my brain. Like, yeah, I don't know.
That's what I think that's why I want, like, I know it's only 3 months, but I wanted to, like, see and talk to someone who, like, who's still doing it. I don't know.
Like, still going through.
Yeah, like,
grief.
you're still doing, like, every day. Like, you had Father's Day,
Yeah.
I don't know. And you're still here working. And I'm
Kinda.
still going to work. I don't know. It's just interesting to meet the people who have done it. I don't know.
No, that's the whole reason I started a podcast. Because, like, living in the real world, trying to have those conversations, I just want to throw up or just punch everyone in the face. So it's just refreshing to talk about the absolute worst stuff with someone like you and to cry and to be like, what the hell's going on? We don't know what's going on. Because everyone else is like, we know what's going on. But I'm just like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Or when
Like, the
people
more-
like try to act sad, I'm like,
Yeah.
just don't be sad. Like, just let me be sad. I don't know.
Like, why? Yeah. Well, it's like, why can't it just be sad? It's sad.
Yeah.
So it's not trying to twist it. Like, well, it's not like a magician. It's not sad, actually. It's like, no, it's sad. It's
And
sad.
I haven't found like what works yet. Like I tried therapy and I hated it. And I went
Wait,
I
why'd you
stopped
hate-
after one thing.
Why'd you hate it? Because I hated it at first, too.
It might have been the therapist, and this is where I struggle because I know I always like tell people I'm like, you should make sure you have good like rapport with your therapist because that's going to be the thing that determines like how successful your therapy is. And
I
so
agree.
I should have like looked at a different therapist probably, but just the one I went to, it was just such a process to get there. You know, like you talk to your primary care doctor and then you get the referral and then you have to call and set up the appointment and then you have to go to the waiting room and then
it's, my 3 o'clock's here. Like, oh, I'm your 3 o'clock.
yeah.
Like,
Well, and so
Okay.
I go into therapy and
how many hours are you sleeping? Are you on medication?
she asked, like, she said, well, your grief is normal. Like, why do you think you need therapy? And I was like, oh, I guess I don't.
I don't know, actually. People told me
I'll
to
stop
come
coming.
here.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
like.
that's like,
my
I don't
doctor
want to
referred
be
me.
here.
Like, and then
That's exactly how it was for me. Like, what? Like, I don't know. I thought I don't know. I don't
yeah, I
want to be
was
here.
like, you're the expert. Like, and then I hate telling people I'm a school psychologist because they think I'm like an expert on mental health. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
so
am
Sigmund
not.
Freud
Like,
and no, not really.
like I'm good at like assessing for dyslexia, but I don't like.
Yeah. And like my attitude was like, are any of them going to be alive after this? No, then like what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, I didn't have, and I think your attitude, like my attitude, matters too. Like I think sometimes when I went and saw a therapist, I just wasn't in the right headspace to even want to be helped yet. Like I was just so
Yeah.
mad, and like
And that's how
the
I
fact
still
that you
feel
think you can help me
sometimes.
over there is just pissing me off for some reason. Because you're just kind of fueled by anger and like, yeah, it's very. But then, of course, what comes out? Oh, hi. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So now you just kind of now you're mad at yourself. Like now I'm fake, and that's the thing I hate most about other people is they're fake, and now you just hate yourself.
Mhm.
And then that snowballs on you with having dead kids and a dead wife and dead brother and nephew because you weren't in the car. So then that negative self-talk.
Oh yeah, and like
It's
the
just
negative
going.
self-talk, she gave me a roll of like stop sign stickers and was like, put these up to remind yourself like to stop thinking negative thoughts. I was like,
Just say, stop thinking negative thoughts. So that's like when you're
So how do
golfing,
you
like,
do
don't hit
that?
it in the water. Don't hit it in the water. Boop, hit it in the
reminded me
water.
of,
Damn
like,
it.
you know, like the fold in the cheese thing? I don't know, it's on TikTok and Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, where it's
You
like
say fold?
yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know. So therapy, I just gave up on it. And then I didn't want to go through the process of looking at another person and talking about it again. and
Sure.
doing blah, blah, blah.
So therapy didn't work, so you moved on to what?
Lexapro. And they started me on it like right away in the hospital, like the day she was born.
Sorry, Lux, is that medication? I'm not sure that is. Okay.
Like an antidepressant, anti-anxiety
okay.
combination. Which I had tried before and had worked decently. And then we went up to like the max dose on that one, and it just wasn't.
You like a walking zombie, basically, or what was that like?
Yeah, it just makes you checked out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think at least Lexapro did.
So did you get off that medication or? Oh, okay.
Sometimes I feel like the only thing that helps, and my mom's gonna kill me for saying this because she's struggled with sobriety, but like I feel like alcohol is the only thing that helps sometimes. Like anything that just like numbs it.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Like how do you not numb it every day?
That's what I do every day.
Oh.
No, I smoke weed every day to numb the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, like alcohol too. I don't. Marijuana kind of saved me from being an alcoholic, but yeah, I would just drink. That's what I'd do the first year. I'd wait. It was literally whiskey in the. I'd get blue to school, and like, okay, I got 8 hours to just numb, and I would numb alcohol.
That's how I feel sometimes. Like the
Yeah.
week, like I'm like, okay, work week, like you can't be obviously like can't be hungover at work and stuff,
Well,
but
no, but like, and I remember you might appreciate this, but so I'm drinking a lot, and some of my family and friends are like, Mace, like, they're talking to me about the drinking, they're concerned, and in my head, I'm like, you guys are bastards because I'm doing so good. Like, I haven't killed myself. I've made it another week. Like, I am climbing Mount Everest right now. Like, what are you guys even talking? Like the anger and the addiction and the ego kind of wrapped up into this one thing of like, screw you guys. You guys don't even. I'm doing so good. Like, I have to numb, and
that makes me feel a lot better.
I think
You.
that's honestly part of the grief. Like, you have to go through this phase of numbing.
Like I'm just trying to like get through these first
You
few
have
months,
to. And it was literally survival mode. Like, I'm gonna die. Like, this is all I got. And alcohol is not good. And I think
No.
eventually you need to get to a point where you're not drinking so much. But I'd be lying to you. Like, I that's how I coped the first year. I just drank and drank and drank because like, you have to numb it. And like,
That's what like.
I think like 4 years later, the grief comes in waves. I'm starting to experience like this kind of relief after you talk about it and cry about it. Like, the darkness kind of fades a little bit, even though it's always there. But then that wave will come again.
Yeah.
But before that, it was no, like, I drank, man. I was not, whatever you want to call it. I was not brave enough, strong enough, didn't want to do it.
I feel like the first year is like anything you can do to just get through it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and people are gonna say whatever and judge whatever, but when you're you had to take your own daughter off life support. So like, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to. I don't know. And anger a lot. I think I'm just like mad at everything right now.
Yeah. How do you deal with that anger? You just bury it deep down, or punch your pillow at night, or drink, or
I feel like I bury it and then it'll come out
mm.
like in spurts.
What about your husband? Or should we just keep him out of the convo? That's
no,
fine.
I wanted to ask you because it is interesting, like watching people grieve differently.
That could cause a lot of anger too.
Yeah, and like I'm not gonna lie, like me and him, it hasn't been like smooth sailing going forward. And we still have a lot of back and forth about the decisions we made.
Oh,
like
that the what if game. That's a form of denial. Like, being in this imaginary land, if we did this, our life would look like this, and just keeping you from the reality of, yeah, but that's not what happened.
And we tried to be so careful about like 50-50 like decision making. Like because I knew I could take over, like with knowing all the like with the different types of therapies, and I don't know, I just like it was his daughter too, or it is his daughter, and I don't know, I asked him the other day, like, I was like, how do you not cry all the time? Because like I just cry all the time. And I've only caught him like once or twice, like in her room, because we haven't touched her room. It just looks the same, like with all the nursery stuff. And then that's where she passed, like just in the rocking chair in there. But he'll be in there, and like that's when he cries. I don't know. I don't know if maybe we think about it differently.
Well, I think the social expectations are different too, and how a
Yeah.
man should carry it versus a woman is just different.
I know I wanted him to talk to
And
you.
then also, I've had phases where I can't cry. Like I don't know if it's I ran out of tears or I don't know what it is, but I've gone through periods in my grief where I can't cry and I start to question myself or get angry at myself. Like, why am I not crying? So it's possible he might cry a year later, 10 years later. I did a podcast with a guy named Scott Casey from Texas. Or sorry, Scott, where are you from? Or somewhere out there. And Oklahoma. And he's like, yeah, 10 years. I buried it, didn't talk about it. And then I finally started talking about it and crying about it. So yeah, I think I don't know.
I do see his frustration level maybe is higher with things.
Yeah, and like I think it's just natural when you lose a child to blame yourself as a parent, like because that's I don't know, that's how it is for me anyway. Like, and I didn't even go on the family vacation. I was just waiting for them to come home, and I have feelings of I should have done this, this, and this. You guys experience a much more hand-on experience for 41 days, like being asked all these questions. So I'm sure that guilt is tuned up 10 times from what I even know. And the scary thing with grief, it doesn't have to make any sense. It doesn't. It's like a dream. Like, you know how a dream feels vivid and real? And then when you wake up, it's like, how is that real? That's not,
Yeah.
that's guilt. Like when you're in it, it feels real. It makes sense. And then maybe after healing and talking about it, and you can look back years later, might be able to see that, like, wow, like, I can't believe I thought that was true. I can't believe I thought I was a terrible mom.
It does kill me that I didn't ask like more questions or be more like I don't know, it's weird because I met up with my friend a few days before I was going to be induced because we got our kids together for a play date. And I was like, I don't want to be induced. And she's like, don't be induced. Like, you don't have to be, you know. And I'm like, well, they said I have to, you know. And it just felt like this weird, like, foreshadowing of it. And I just kick myself because I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess, like, I just want moms to trust themselves more, you know, and know you know your body the best. Like, those people, yeah, they have all the training and education. And, like, even me, like, I have training and education. And it's still okay to question them, like, even if you think you don't know what they're, like, what's going on. I don't know.
No, I love what you're saying.
Like, it makes me mad that there's not more.
Like, this isn't simply talked about more. Like,
Yeah.
this should be, more people should know this.
And why do we have to induce so much? Like, I don't get, why not just let the babies come naturally? Like, I don't really understand that.
Well, I think it's the pain, right? Or, I don't know, just
I
thinking
don't know.
out
There's a
loud.
movie on, I forget what it's on, but it said, like, it's called the business of delivery, I think, or something. And it talks about how, and it's pretty old. I think it was filmed in like the 90s or early 2000s. But it talks about how it's just a business. Like, they do these scheduled inductions, like, for doctors, I don't know, for
No,
their
I think
shifts or something.
it's definitely a business, and it's a man's business, and they don't know what it's like to give birth or experience any of that stuff.
Yeah, like, and then the guidelines, like, for C-sections, you know, I don't really get that. Like, if she was in the 97th percentile, that's big. You know, why didn't we, like, talk about that more as an option? You know, towards the end when we had the extra ultrasound to be like, hey, like,
Yeah, and maybe sometimes it's just kind of doctor roulette. Like, maybe sometimes you get a really good doctor that knows his stuff, and other times not. Like, there's so many variables for everyone's situation, you know.
yeah. I
And then
guess,
on top of all the human mistakes, like Mother Nature's just her own mess of doesn't make sense. Like, you can be unhealthy people and deliver a healthy baby, and then you can be healthy people and deliver an like it does. There's just
Oh, that's what's hard too.
it's
She was
just
so
chaos.
active.
Yeah, it's
Like she
just
was like constantly moving. She'd wake me up at 3 a.m.
yeah.
And then you see her in the hospital and she doesn't move anything. You know, it was just like it like didn't even I couldn't even like make sense of it. Like it just I don't know. It's just crazy the things.
What's it like when you wake up in the morning?
Like good until I get triggered. Like I wake up and I go, okay, like I made it through another day. Like and I'm like, okay, like what do I have to do today? You know?
Man, this is me. Like, you ever get to like 4 o'clock? You're like, I should have 5 more hours, and then like I could go to bed. Yeah, like you're literally just
And then when you have another kid,
yeah.
it's like you can't.
You start to feel guilt. Like I got to start showing up for Mason now.
Yeah, like there are days I just want to lay in bed all day. You know, and right now it's a summer break and it's like I like just trying to plan activities and then enjoy them. But then I do really enjoy him. Like there are times, you know, he'll say stuff. That's probably when I'm out of it, I would say. Like when I feel like that's kind of what keeps me going, obviously, is that he'll say stuff and I'm like, okay, I think I can feel happy again. Like with him. Like he needs his mom, you know. He lost a sister too. And I want him to look back because he's gonna grow up one day and like look back at all this and I don't know. I like it does sound cliche, I guess, to say like that your other like the other kid keeps you going, you know, but they do because you can't because we like Chris and I talk about it all the time is like I don't think we would be here if we didn't have Mason.
Yeah.
Like that would and I'm trying not to be like overprotective on Mason or be crazy, which I'm doing pretty good about, I think. Like even coming here, like they were gonna go fishing and I was like, oh, I don't are you gonna have cell service? You know, I don't know.
No, because your mind's like they could drown.
Yeah, like that's all I have
That's how your
left,
mind
you
works
know.
now. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because I have lost someone close to me before and it like doesn't even compare to this.
Who was that?
My grandma.
Mm.
Like I remember thinking I knew what grief was, and I don't think I knew what grief was.
Yeah.
And then I meet people who like have gone through stuff like this, and I'm like, they're like superpowers or something. I don't know. You get like a like dark superpowers. I don't like not ones. I don't know.
Not ones you asked for.
Like resiliency, I guess. Yeah. And I like the name of your podcast I love because I was describing it to someone like every day I get like 1% better.
Mm.
And then I feel like I get triggered and then it goes back like 10% or like 20%. But then like the next day is 1%, you know, so it's just like
Yeah, what I struggle with is like just the teeter-totter of like you, like I just want to lay in bed, I just want to die, like the guilt, the shame, the sadness, the anger. But then guilt takes over, like, well, I need to live for them so you have a good day, and then you just feel bad for having a good day and you just go up and down. My therapist, that the one that I ended up liking, Matt, he told me, he's like, Mace, he's like, you're gonna be sad forever, like you're gonna want to die forever, but you can also be happy. Like you deserve it, you need it, you earn it, they want it for you, and those two things can coexist. I don't know. I think that's something I want to tell you is I think you're gonna hurt forever. There's no way you're not. You're gonna hurt forever, but you're allowed to be happy, and I hope you allow yourself to be happy. That's something I struggle with. Is just the worthiness to receive joy still can be hard.
Yeah.
And then just be ready for the evolution of the grief. Like it can change and evolve into different things, and obviously a part of that's going to be up to you to how you manage it, how much you talk about it and cry about it, and what you're going to do with that pain. And the alcohol relationship, you're gonna have some big decisions with that down the line. But three, like I'm not that there's a measuring stick, but for going back to work, this happening 3 months later, like I think you're one strong mom person. I think it's really, even though you're half of it's probably fake and you're just putting on the fake mask to get back out there, like super impressive. And I think you're showing Mason that this is life, and how are we going to respond when unfair things happen? That's something that keeps me going with Blue. Like I have an opportunity to show my son how to react to something that's absolutely terrible, and if I can do that, that could really help him in his own life.
Yeah, I think with Mason, I'm like, I tried so hard to protect him. There's this thing called ACEs, they're adverse childhood experiences. And it's like this list with like divorces and death and all these bad things that can happen. And I was like, I tried so hard to protect him like from the bad things. And then something happened that you just can't protect.
Yeah.
There's just nothing you can do about it.
That's why you gotta make sure you live. Like you can't just spend your whole life in fear trying to live longer. Like have a hamburger and a Mountain Dew. Like, do something fun.
Yeah.
Because you might only have, and that's what I love about your story. Like you brought Ellie home, and throughout such a painful discussion, you had moments of smiling and joy with your daughter, Elliot. That I hold on to those too. Like
I remember one time in the hospital,
Yeah.
she blew out on me. And I stood up and it was just everywhere. And I was like, this is beautiful. Like,
it
I'll
really
take it.
is. Like, this is a memory. No, for sure. Anything else you want to talk about before we get to your top 3 favorite books?
Oh my gosh, see, I knew I'd black out on those. But no, I don't think so. It was good. I hope my goal like for this, and it's just so fresh and raw, but I hope it helps like one baby.
No, I'm sure there's someone.
That's what, yeah.
There's probably someone today. There is someone today, a family dealing with shoulder
Dystocia.
dystocia.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks
Super brave. For some reason, I have grief brain, and I hate it because I don't want to use it as an excuse. But like, my biggest fear is I'm going to miss a speaking gig. I'm just going to forget about it. Like, and maybe I've already done that already, but like, I just forget things. It's the worst. Like, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like, your brain sucks. You can't, because you just go into la la land daydreaming of your dead kid, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, see, I forgot what I was even saying that.
That's why I like checklists. I go in meetings, I have my little notebook, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Covered.
Okay, top 3 favorite books.
Okay. First one is The Stand by Stephen King.
Wow. The Stand? I like Stephen King. What's The Stand?
I think they just came out with like a mini series on it. It's just like about the end of the world.
What about Stand? It's just about the end of the world. What about Stand By Me, Stephen? Oh, no, wait. That's a Stephen King book, right? Stand By Me that was turned into a movie?
Ooh, I don't know, maybe. But it could be, because I feel like that's ringing a bell.
What's the Stephen King one where that lady is like, he gets hurt, the author gets hurt in his car, lady brings him to her house, and he's writing a book. She's like this crazy fan and doesn't like the ending of his book, and she's like, you gotta change it or I'm not letting you go, like gonna kill him type thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well,
I'll find it.
Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking, I guess, and just let you finish your books.
Don't act like you read.
I don't read. That's my problem. I'm just naming movies from books.
That's okay. When you said name movies,
Which is how
I'm not going to be able to
Yeah.
name, like, I don't.
I remember middle school. For middle school book reports, I would just choose books that had movies made after from and just watch the movies, and it kind of worked. Okay, so The Stand. Stephen King, The Stand, number 1. Okay, next book. What do we got?
Summer Sisters by Judy Blume.
No, I've definitely never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She writes for adults too, not just kids.
Okay.
She's good. Oh, and then Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton.
Wow.
That's a good one.
I've never thought to read the book Jurassic Park.
He only has 2 of them out. So I think he wrote 2 and then they made up more movies off of it.
Gotcha.
But so it's only the first one and then The Lost World.
You find books better than the movie?
Oh yeah.
Not even
Every
close.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
Jurassic Park's right next to my nightstand right now.
You're reading Jurassic
See?
Park?
I'm right.
Michael Crichton, you should read more of his stuff. He's such a good. He passed away, I think, but all his stuff was.
Prey?
Yes, I have that one.
That's my next on my list.
Read Micro's a good one. Yeah, all of his are good.
Very
The Andromeda
science-y,
strain.
it's into the
Yeah.
science.
Well, all I know is when I read, my brain I'll read a page and a half, and I'll be like, what have I been reading? I don't. Do you guys ever do that?
That happens to
It's
me.
like I'm
with movies.
reading every word, but
Yeah.
like I don't know what's been said.
When I read, I can picture it like a movie.
Wow.
But when I watch movies, I will get totally distracted. Like visual and verbal are hard. I don't know.
Now when I watch movies, I just imagine like it being made, like this scene and like people behind the camera, like 1, 2, 3, action, and like these people acting out this scene and how awkward that is sometimes, and like that's
I
what
will say-
I'm ruined. I'm screwed.
I guess I did watch like the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I watched how all those were made.
See, yeah.
Like, and that was cool to watch.
There you go.
Maybe I do like movies. I don't know.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're amazing, and remember, life's 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you respond to it.